This is the Nomadic Traveler Podcast. What's going on, everybody? This is Jason with the Nomadic Traveler Podcast, and we are going to have Vasan on today, and he's going to talk to us about Babel Project. This is a project that he does where he goes into small communities and generally, I think, third world countries, and he kind of sees what he can do to help them out. So he really immerses himself in the culture. He jumps right into the community. He lives, sleeps, breathes, eats everything with everybody in the community, and then once he's developed a rapport and a bond with the people, he tries to figure out how he can help them. So from garbage collection to making toilets to whatever it may be, whatever the project may be, he goes in there and he really dives in and tries to help out these communities. So we got information as to how maybe you can donate if you'd like to donate to his project. He's a really cool guy, and he is able to do a lot with a tiny amount of money. So I think you're really going to enjoy it. He was on location in Panama during this particular recording, and some of the volume goes up and down. You can hear some dogs barking in the background, some birds chirping. So, kind of bear with us if you can during this one, because it was less than ideal circumstances. But as always, it's an excellent show, and I really think that you guys are going to like it. I found the guy super fascinating. So, without further ado, we bring you Vasan. All right, we'd like to welcome to the show Vasan, and he's going to talk to us about Babel. Is that right?
The Babel Project.
Okay, tell us all about the Babel Project. What is that?
Our Babel Project is a small initiative that I started with a friend when I was in New York last year. Um, our mission is to connect communities all over the world into this single platform where they're able to talk to each other about their challenges, the community challenges, and discuss solutions. Like small solutions, if I don't have rubbish collected in my village, do I go to the government and make noise and protest and waste my time, or I take initiative by myself and solve the problem first? And started from there and just escalated into this huge monster where we decided to travel on land from New York to back to Malaysia, land and sea, boats, whatnot, hitchhiking, and stop by all these communities and stay with them, understand their challenge, share knowledges from the other communities we worked with, and also go online, find whatever solutions, and get them to initiate projects to solve their challenge.
So these are all like smaller communities that are outside of like big cities?
Yeah, these are communities which do not have access to a lot of things for some very good some reason that I could not compute. A lot of NGOs and organizations, even government agencies, do not reach to these small communities far away from the main cities. For example, in Malaysia, when funding is sent to a main town in a state, the funds are spread to the nearest communities that needs first, and then it moves out. So every time funds sent in, they do the same thing, and only the communities nearest to the cities get all the funds. Those
Gotcha.
who are up in the mountains and all that, they're just forgotten. I wouldn't say forgotten, but it's very limited.
Okay.
And these are the communities we want to reach out to. And see, depending on governments or non-government organizations to come and support has become plague. A lot of communities forgot to self-sustain.
So
Right?
NGO is non-government organization, right?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Uh,
So,
like we humans, we lost our ability to be independent and self-sustained. I know communities back in Malaysia, uh, indigenous communities where the youths they do not know how to hunt and fish anymore, but that was how they were surviving generations after generations, just because help was readily available and people just started to wait for help to come, which is not healthy in the long run for us. It's not sustainable at all. How long can a NGO or a government agency can come in and provide you support?
So they became
We
dependent upon the help then.
no, we need to first depend on ourselves and solve our challenges. If help comes, help comes. If help doesn't come, it doesn't come. We should not deprive ourselves of basic needs just because there's no help.
Correct. But you're saying people became dependent upon the help, right?
Yes,
Gotcha.
a lot, especially in third world and developing countries. It's it's even first world countries, like the Bronx, Harlem, man.
So how did
uh,
you come about like this as a as an opportunity or profession? How did you get into this?
uh, Back in Malaysia, I was in the corporate world, and that did not satisfy my needs. I felt empty. So while exploring options, a very close friend of mine who is in the personal development industry took me in and told me like, "Yo, try this out. Like, this might be your cup of tea." So I got into team building and personal development. And while I was doing that, this opportunity came up for me to train a bunch of youths and bring them to do volunteering work in Cambodia. It was a government project. It was modeled after Peace Corps. It's called
What is
My
that
Corps.
again? Say that again. I don't know. Say that one more time.
The whole project called My Corps is modeled after Peace Corps.
Okay.
Actually, the government officers went to the Peace Corps HQ in the States, and they went through training. They came back. They were running it for a few years, and the minister, youth and sports minister, then wanted to rebrand the whole thing, make it new. And so they hired the social enterprise called Epic Homes, who I was working with closely to rebrand the entire thing. And I was brought in to train these youths and be in charge of the volunteering part of it. So I brought them outdoors, trained them outdoors, skill sets in Malaysia, and then we took the group to Cambodia to do volunteering work with a few villages, mainly building toilets, building water catchments, working with the children in the communities, just spending time with them. It's a 3-month program where they stay with the communities, cook with them, eat with them, and identify challenges and solve it.
So you're saying youths, right?
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
So what are some of the challenges that you guys have found and have worked on in these communities?
In Cambodia, the biggest challenge in Cambodia that we were told and we experience is they just shit everywhere.
That's a problem.
Oh, that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Like when it doesn't rain much there, but even if it rains, everything flows into the river, and the river is the main source of income and food for the entire country. So it flows down there, then they catch the fish and then they eat. Obviously, it's going to taste better because it has more minerals from your body. But
Yeah, that's not
see,
good at all. So how do you fix that
it's not.
then?
We build toilets. We build toilets, dry toilets, so that
So is it like
it's
pit toilets then?
what was that? Sorry.
Is it like a pit toilet then? Like you did like you dig a pit and then like put an outhouse on top of it or something or
Yes,
okay.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly, exactly.
Do they do any
And
water flush toilets anywhere or is it all
n-
mainly
well, water is a huge challenge in Cambodia. It rains for 6 months and it's dry for 6 months,
okay.
and people there buy water. So there are organizations who work in providing water filters to the houses so that they don't need to buy water anymore. Um, wash water and sanitation, uh, health, if I'm not mistaken, is a big a huge challenge in Cambodia. A lot of organizations is working on countering that issue. So, yep, uh, phew, water catchment in schools. People still buy water there, which is not cheap. And if you go to the markets, you go to the wet side where they are cutting fish and all, they just cut fish. They don't even wash the fish. You take it back, and if you have water, you wash it. It's huge.
Yes, so I
It's
just heard
huge.
about wet markets in China the other day. I never heard that term before. So, is wet like does it have to do with like fishing and stuff that comes from the sea, or what does wet market mean?
Okay, wet market is where all these animals like fish, chicken, beef. Uh, when you go there, it's wet. That's why we call it wet market.
Okay.
And then the other side where they sell the grocery, the dry stuff, the canned stuff, the beans, rice, it's separated so that there's no cross contamination. That's and it's a practice for very long in Malaysia, in Asia especially. I'm not sure about this part, where we separate the wet and the dry market.
Yeah, because I just saw a story in China where they would have like them cutting up fish or something like that, and then there would be like a live dog, like in a cage right next to it.
All right. So after this virus came about, man, the amount of videos that's coming out. The thing is, because of cultural upbringing and what a country has gone through, we eat certain things certain ways. But colonization has mixed it up. Globalization has mixed it up. Like for example, people in we in Malaysia we eat a lot of rice because need the energy because we were farmers.
Yeah.
And then the British came in and introduced their meat and the tea and whatnot. But logically, with the heat, with the humidity we have in Malaysia, we don't need the heat from the meat. That's for the winter country. We have,
Okay, that makes sense.
right, right. Uh, but yeah, in one part it's good, globalization. Another part it also affects the lifestyle of a community. And going back to China, they've been eating all this because of um, how they were, like politically and socially, and that became a culture. Why do people in Cambodia eat worms and cockroaches? Because they're up to late 90s, they were in a, they were in jails. And if you go to Cambodia, these museums will show you pictures. Each one of them get one spoon of rice with a bowl of water. That's all they get to eat once a day. And so when all these insects crawls into their cell where they've been captured, they eat those insects. And to remember that, and because they're used to that, people still eat worms and cockroaches and whatnot, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
So on average, like how long do you stay in a community?
It depends a lot on the project itself. Um, like in Hidalgo in Mexico, the bigger challenge was everyone wanting to go to the States. The young ones, especially, expecting life to be better on the other side. So there's not much job opportunity in there as well. So this group of people, they wanted to start a ecotourism project where you can provide job, can preserve the environment around the area, and also bring more tourists and businesses to the small town called Octopan. So they started that there. I was there for 6 weeks, just facilitating, connecting them to other ecotourism companies and bringing skill sets and all that. Mm.
So,
But for sorry.
was just gonna say, do you do any ecotourism in the areas where you are right now, where you're doing projects?
Depends on what they want. I do not go in and tell them this is what you need to do. We go in, I'll stay with the community, and then we'll bring everyone together on one day. I'll run a workshop on the Sustainable Development Goals by the United Nations, introduce them to the goals, and then split them into teams and discuss the challenges they are facing that resonates to the goal. So
Okay.
from those challenges, we'll identify a project that we can work together as a community and initiate projects around it.
Are there other people on your team when you go in, or is it just you?
Uh, the project itself, it's me, but I look for community leaders and NGOs and universities especially to connect with, and they connect me to these communities that they know of.
Okay.
So, like, how do you? I know that you meet with leaders and things like that to find out what the problems are in order to figure out how you can solve them in these communities. But how do you get the buy-in from people in the community to want to do, whatever you're needing them to do, like to use the toilets or to put their trash in a certain area? How do you get their kind of buy-in as a whole?
The workshop, the first part of the workshop is what's happening in a global scale. First, I'll introduce the 17 goals and then show them pictures and videos of the effects. But a lot of times is, see, I would not do something knowing that it's going to be bad for me. It's it's just because I'm not aware of the outcome of my action a lot of times, unless I'm crazy, right?
Right.
So a lot of these people, like you said, China, they're eating dogs and cats because they grew up like that. It's okay for them to do that. And for these communities in Honduras, especially in these 4 villages I was working in, eating these chips or snacks or drinking Coke and throwing away the bottle is normal. It's okay, right? They don't see the bigger picture. So when we go in, we talk about these goals and then show them videos and pictures of what actually is happening in a global scale because of this one small chocolate wrapper I throw away. Now they realize, holy Lord, we need to do something about this. Not like I don't tell them you're going to change the world, but we tell them, look, you need to do something so that your children will have a better life. Right? Now it resonates to them like, wow, all right, so I need to do something. Now let's discuss what can we do with the resources we have. Every single one in the village is an asset. Each one of us have some kind of skill sets that we can contribute to make the place better. Right? So we bring all this together, we plan, we draw a blueprint of, okay, these are the resources we need, these are the assets we need, this is what we can achieve. All right, now let's go look for the resources. Let's put everything together and get the work done.
Very cool. What are some like challenges that you have uncovered in this job, and this work, like that you've kind of had to problem solve to figure out how to change it?
I did not get the question, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So what are some challenges that you have faced in this work, and working with communities that you've had to overcome?
From day one, it has the biggest challenge is connecting to these communities because I do not engage them until I'm very sure when I'm leaving the community I'm working with now. So it always gives me this time, maximum of 1.5 to 2 weeks. And in that 2 weeks, for another community to arrange logistic to uh, accommodate to my needs is hard. It's super challenging, and that part is still figuring out how to sort that one out. I'm trying to connect with the couch surfers, other travelers who has already been into these communities to connect. But
Okay.
doing this alone and covering all sides of logistics is, yeah, that's the most challenging part.
For sure. And where do you stay? Like when you go, do you just stay with someone local or do you get like a place to stay? How does that work?
I I choose to stay with the communities as much as possible or locals, live where normally people live. I think since day one, the I've not stayed in anywhere touristic yet. Wow.
Very cool.
Yeah, actually, I choose to live with the communities because I can't go and tell them, yo, you need to throw your rubbish better, right? So we go in, we stay, we make friends with them, and then we do things different, and then we talk to them why, and then be like, yeah, very interesting. Then they get interested, they want to know more, and we tell the leaders, your people are ready now, let's start.
So it makes your mission more impactful because you were there with them.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The in, very interesting part about us is like we tend to read things on Google and online and Facebook, materials, and we come to a conclusion that is exactly how it is,
Yeah.
right? Like this is the biggest reason why I took it upon me to get this project done is also because there's a lot of policies and datas and information available online, but it's not anywhere near the truth of what these communities are going through. Like the communities in Honduras up the mountains, they are not accounted for in the data, right? So when we look at data and we see, oh, Malaysia has no poverty at all. No, that's bullshit. That's only
Right.
numbers on a paper. When we go in and live in this community, then we understand like, now that's bigger challenge than what we read online.
For
We
sure.
we are nowhere near um, achieving the 17 goals in the SDGs in the next 10 years. We are nowhere near. And if we are going to do the same thing again and again, thanks to Einstein, we are all insane people.
Yes, it's
So
like one of my
Yeah,
favorite quotes.
we need to start doing things different to achieve sustainability. Not for us, for the next generation. If not, we all need to go to Mars
right.
and screw up Mars.
With Elon Musk, right?
Yeah, oh yeah,
And
and
then only
screw up
the
Mars.
rich will go.
So
Yeah,
hang
they're
on.
already selling tickets. Yeah.
What are SDGs? Is that what?
SDGs are Sustainable Development Goals introduced by United Nations.
Gotcha.
Um, it was introduced in 2015 to be achieved by 2030. It's a very optimistic one. And goals are not new with United Nations. They've been introducing new goals every time since the 1960s when they started. Before the SDGs, we have the MDGs and whatnot. A lot of things has been achieved for sure. Like we have vaccinations. Ebola is not a big issue anymore. Uh, a lot of places, education is a bit more accessible for people, but a lot of things has been overlooked. For example, climate change. It's like suddenly just appeared and killing everyone. Australia went through quite an interesting chapter recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yep.
whole place was
Yep.
on fire.
The entire country was red,
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Yeah, like goals are goals, datas are datas, policies are policies. No offense to Greta. Greta did a very good job in creating awareness that climate change is happening now and the governments and organizations need to take action. But and everyone started following Greta and going on the street and protesting and demanding governments to take action. But we've been demanding governments to take action forever.
Yeah.
And then a paper will come out like, oh, we took this action, these are the things achieved, we have achieved sustainability my ass,
For sure.
right? It's all paper. Like going out protesting is not going to solve anything. We need to take action. We need to empower these grassroots people who are eating these chips and throwing the bags everywhere,
Yeah.
who are buying 20 coffees a day and throwing those paper cups everywhere. These people need to be aware what are these actions causing the world. Coca-Cola needs to do something with their plastic bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these biodegradable plastics is plastic still. It's going to be microplastics. It's still plastics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
and our consumption is insane. We prefer to go to Walmart's because it's cheap, and we buy in bulks. Half of it we throw away because we could not eat everything, and it all comes in single plastic that we are going to use only once and then we throw it away.
Yeah.
Where does it go? It gets sent to Malaysia. Oh my God.
Right.
Very
Recently
true.
they caught containers and containers of rubbish sent to Malaysia from Europe and US. We sent it
Interesting.
back. It was quiet for a while, and then I think a few months back there were more containers in. It's insane. That is
Wow.
Malaysia. Imagine the amount of rubbish going to other third world countries where it's just going to landfills and buried and burned. Honduras, they still burn their rubbish. It's insane.
Yeah.
That's not good.
And here in Panama, in Agua Dulce, all these farms, the sugarcane farms, and the corn farms, once they have done with harvest, they can't do anything with the husk. Actually, you can do a lot of things with the husk. You can repurpose it to be papers, you can process it, whatever, but they just burn it. And because they burn all these farms to harvest, replant things on that land, all this dust flies into people's house and food. The house I'm staying in, if they need to mop it like 10 times a day, if not, the whole feet is black. I can send you pictures of my feet now. I just washed it like an hour back.
And it's just like ashes in the air?
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
Yep.
I
We're
didn't know
breathing
that.
in and consuming ashes. In
Yeah.
Panama, Panama is supposed to be one of the most developed countries in Central America. And Costa Rica, let's not talk about Costa Rica. Costa
Yeah.
Rica is being celebrated to be the most sustainable country in South America, implementing SDGs and everything. This place called Cahuita, beside Puerto Viejo, a touristic place, a developing touristic place. Rubbish is not collected. There's no central rubbish area. These resorts, they build rubbish, huge bins in front of their house, because if they just leave rubbish outside, the dogs are just going through it, and the next day the entire place is filled with rubbish.
Mm-hmm.
There's this one guy in the city who spent his own money to buy trucks to collect all his rubbish in Cahuita, but he can only do it once a week. It's
Wow.
and this is a country which is being celebrated, and on paper this is the best, one of the best countries to be in. And the homeless issue in San Jose, it's insane. It's
So,
insane.
what could we do from where we're at to help this situation?
We can't change the world for sure. You and me, no, we can't change the world, but we can create awareness and create impact with the people we come across with. We share these knowledges with them. We go into the communities rather than going for a holiday to uh, Ometepe is an island in Nicaragua. It's eight. It's shaped like a number eight. The one part is the touristic part where everything happens. The other part is where all the villagers live in. Rather than going to the touristic part, go live with the villagers and see what we can share with them, knowledges and what we see. Not to tell them, yo, you're living a fucked up life. No. No, tell them like you can be better for sure. And this is how you can, and connect them to other people who are doing it better. And this way they can self empower and realize like, yo, I can do something.
Right.
And you think
Yeah.
this is the best way to help the problem?
I would not say it's the best. It's something that I'm doing personally. There are a lot of other good ways, like Epic Homes. They're building homes for these indigenous people in Malaysia. They've been doing it successfully with donations and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, you're providing house for these people who, like 20 people living in a small hut. Now, that 20 people live in a comfortable house. So that's what they are doing in their capacity and their knowledge. In my capacity, I'm creating awareness and trying to get them to handle their rubbish better, or connect them to other communities who can find solution. And there are a lot of other people who have a lot of knowledge, who can just spend that time to go and share it with people. There's a group of university lecturers, students and master students I did a workshop with. They came up with this program in the university. They're going to bring back the retired lecturers. You're retired, you're bored anyways. So they're bringing back these people, and these are people with skill sets and knowledge. They are really smart people. We're giving them resources and sending them to these villages up in the mountains to teach the basic uh, engineering and basic building, so that they can build their own stuff. Now these are the things we can do. The country can be dirt poor, but there are still universities. Education is the biggest business. You can do something like this to help the communities around, to just share knowledge.
For sure. So how do you get your funding for this adventure and your travel and your job? How are you able to sustain life with that?
Very interesting question. I have a very close friend, my mentor, Chan Wen Lee from Nomad Adventure. She is championing zero waste massively. There's a machine that was introduced in Malaysia. No, it was invented in Malaysia. This machine It processes all rubbish and releases dust with next to zero carbon release, except for metal and glass. And she is bringing that to United States now, manufacturing that so that they can cover this part of the world. She is funding this project, uh, tiny bit, about $300 a month, which is the only funds I get every month. And I have friends who are helping me to sell the project T-shirts. We make some out of that. And now, because after Nicaragua and down, it's super expensive. It's insanely expensive. I'm trying to secure a job, a remote job that I can do while working with these communities. And I'm still sending out emails, hoping that I can secure a job.
So
Yeah,
you're trying to run your project on $300 a month?
Yep, that's what I've been doing.
Wow.
that's
It's been,
very noble.
I left New York on 16th of August. From then till now, yeah, that's I've been running in $300 a month.
Wow.
Wow, that is
That's barely
amazing.
enough for food.
Yeah.
I'm alive.
You're surviving, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And like, how has this kind of changed your perspective? Because, um, you know, a regular traveler or somebody just out there traveling for their own pleasure is gonna see countries and communities a little differently than you, traveling to help communities and getting into these rural areas. How would you say that that has kind of changed your point of view as far as of the world and of these communities? How do you feel like that's adjusted your mindset?
Man, it has humbled me a lot for sure because we all have our problems, yeah, and we think our problem is the biggest problem, and no one understands me. I'm facing so many things in life. I'm having mental issues and all that. But then I had the same thing. Like my childhood was not the best childhood, and I was always blaming, playing the blame game, saying like, it's hard for me. I can't achieve anything because I did not get what everything else got and all everyone else got and all that. And then I started doing this and like realizing like I had a very good life
Mm-hmm.
comparing to some of these communities and the children and how they live their daily life. I'm not saying they're living bad, they're living really good, but they have limited resources and they're making it work every day. They're not complaining, they're making it work every day. And I was there sitting and complaining I don't have new shoes to go to school the new year.
Right.
Right? Right? Uh, so it has humbled me a lot. Uh, Everyone travels different. We all want to see different things, which is not wrong. But I would strongly encourage, if you have the time, if you're going out to travel for 4 months, spend 2 or 3 weeks with these villagers and experience life from their point of view,
Mm.
where life in Facebook is not everything. Real life, like waking up in the morning, going to farm, harvesting your own coffee, coming back and roasting it and drinking it, man, that's oof, the best coffees I've had in my life.
I bet, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It humbles me a lot for sure. For sure.
Very true. Have you like come across any like interesting customs or anything that you found, like just really cool things that you would have never found had you not been in your position?
I'm a big foodie. I cook. That's how I've been surviving as well. I cook my own food.
Hmm.
So it's very interesting how from Mexico to Panama they eat the same thing, but it's also very different. Um, and it's surely culturally motivated. Like small thing like tortilla in Mexico and in Honduras and in Panama is totally different. It's totally different. The
Mm-hmm.
way of preparing, even the breakfast, lunch, and dinner is different. Uh, Cultural
So you mean
practice.
it's not like Taco Bell?
What? What's that? You'll be surprised there's Taco Bell in Mexico and they're surviving.
Really?
Oh my God. Oh
Do
yeah.
people
Oh yeah.
eat there?
People who wants to be Americans, yeah, yeah,
Because Taco
yeah,
Bell is
yeah.
really nothing like real Mexican food, right?
That's so funny.
Really, you want me to answer the question? But uh, like every other place, the food is very distinct, very representative of the culture and the people. Music is different, strong influence of Caribbean uh, culture and music in Panama, in Costa Rica, in Honduras, even. And then Mexico is totally different. They're like we still hold on to our culture. Everyone else is wrong.
Hmm.
Just like that. Mexico, if you go to Mexico City, the practices are totally different. Oaxacans are different. Chiapas is totally different. Uh, if you go to San Cristobal in Comitan, you can see the mountain people in the town selling their handicrafts. Oof. Man, I've never seen such beauty. Really, it's it's nice.
And
It's
that's
really
like
Yeah.
good.
that's like handmade art then.
Yep, yep.
Very nice.
All the beads and they come out dressed in their traditional costume. It's
Can you
interesting.
buy the traditional costume?
Yes,
You can.
yes, yes.
That'd be so cool.
So
The,
have
the,
you picked up anything along the way that's like really super unique? I mean, I know you don't have much of a budget, but
I one budget too. I don't have space in my bag.
oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
25% of my backpack is my clothes, and 50% is my survival equipment. I have my. I should not say this online, but I have my machetes and I have cooking. Basically, I have my bedroom, my kitchen, and my living room on my bag in my bag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I bet.
Yep, and also the workshop materials, my laptop, um, all the other materials, stationaries. So I'm walk around with about 20 kilograms.
Wow.
Wow.
Yep, yep.
So do you feel like that type of travel and being that like light on your feet would make you like if you ever decide to stop doing this and you want to like move somewhere and stay there, do you feel like you would have less stuff and be kind of more of a minimalist? Minimalist.
Minimalistic.
Minimalist.
Yeah.
I can't think of the word.
Uh, I think this is the most minimal I can be. Like any minimal than this, I would not have enough resources to do the workshops and travel around and like camp if I need to before I reach to the next area. But after being 5 months on the road, I am because also of my finances, it's getting expensive going to the south. So I am planning to be based in Honduras. One because it's cheap, and two I have existing communities there. Uh, I actually received a few messages from other communities who's inviting me to come back to do some workshops with them. So I'm contemplating staying there for 1 or 2 months, finish the projects with them, and also get some work going. Yep.
That's what I was going to ask if you circled back around to the same communities again.
Initially, the plan was not to, but my finances is not allowing me to move forward because from Panama to Colombia, I need $500 to just pay for the boat.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and I can go on land, but I might not cross the border because of the guerrilla activities and all that. I was
Okay.
Mm.
warned multiple times by multiple people not to do that. But it's a huge debate because I was told the same not to, when I was about to cross into Mexico from US, and I happily crossed. I'm still alive, so still thinking about it.
Very cool. Do you think that so like say our listeners are interested in like helping out with this but they can't necessarily go overseas and go to these communities, how might they
Mhm.
help like maybe you out in this journey or um other people that might be fulfilling the same role for communities?
Uh, for me, especially, I all these communities I work with, I have their information on my Facebook, the project's Facebook.
Okay.
Uh, if you have any information you want to share with these communities, you can always reach out to them, share it with them. If you want to go and visit, you can talk to them and go and visit and impart knowledge or initiate your projects. If you want to help me with funds, I will be happy to receive it. But yeah,
Very cool.
Are
and
you
that
are you doing any fundraising?
I did a few crowdfunding platforms, but I'm not able to manage it proper because there's a lot of tech stuff that's going on, and me staying in the villages with no connection and stuff. I don't have a
Gotcha.
team to manage it, so that has been a challenge. And corporate sponsors, they want exposure,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and I'm not a marketing person. I'm a community development person, so that is a bit challenging as well.
So does anybody like so you get there on your $300, but then once you decide, okay, we need to build toilets or whatever, do you get additional funding from any of the government or non-government organizations or?
I I try to source resources from what's available in the area. These communities in Honduras, they are legends. They do their own fundraising. There's an organization called Solidarity Project who works very closely with them. What I like with this organization is they don't spoon feed. So they go to this community and they tell them, okay, this is what you need. All right, you raise the fund, we'll match the fund.
Okay.
And so these communities take effort and source resources. Manpower is fully them. They build it themselves. Everything is fully done by them. Now, this is what we want to do with all the community. You have the asset. You can build it yourself. You have the resources. If you need funds, raise funds, sell food if you need to, and get things done. And interestingly, these communities are making it work. Uh, if they are to wait for once they identify the challenge and if they wait for the government or NGOs to come in and provide with the funds, it's going to be a waiting game forever. Yeah.
So okay. So if people go on like your Facebook page or something like that, is there a way for them to donate to try to maybe help you out and further your cause?
Yes. I've not added. There's a link in Facebook, but I took it off. I can put it back in.
What are you
Yep.
doing taking that off? How are people supposed to donate?
Yeah. I didn't have time to update,
For sure.
You didn't have
and
time to raise money?
no, I didn't update the platform. So when I didn't update the platform, it looked dormant. When it looks dormant, it doesn't move anywhere. That will look that will portray as the project being dormant.
Gotcha.
Very
So
true.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Okay. Well, we got a couple of segments that we wanted to run by you, and
yep.
we wanted to see if you had any ideas. So we have our "Don't Do That," and that's our segment about
Lose you.
What did you say? Something?
Oh, I lost you for a while.
Oh, are
Oh,
you still there?
Yep, yep.
Okay. All right. All right. So our "Don't Do That" segment is a travel mistake that you've made somewhere along the way that people might like to learn from, so they don't make the same mistake.
Right. My biggest mistake was not learning the language.
That's a good point.
It was challenging because Spanish is predominantly spoken and English is next to nowhere. And me only speaking English, Malay, and Tamil, that can wait for me in Asia. That doesn't work here. So I was lucky enough that I had translators. But if in Malaysia we have this saying, I'll translate it. If you go into a goat shed, you need to make sounds as a goat. So in Malay, it's like masuk kandang kambing, kita mengembek, right? So that what it says is when we go to a different area, we adapt to the culture, we adapt to the language and how things are done. A lot of travelers, like a few travelers that I came across with, when they are in this part of the world, they expect things to be the same as home. Like, oh, I don't get this food. Oh, there's no hot water. Oh, there's no paper. Yo,
There's
adapt.
definitely going to be none of that stuff, is there?
Paper, see, paper, yes. Uh, we in Asia, we wash, but here they still use paper, so that part is good. But like in Panama and Nicaragua, it's safe to drink water from the tap. But
Oh,
there are, yeah, it's safe to drink water from the tap.
okay.
Not Honduras, Guatemala, no. But Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama, yes, people here drink from the tap. But I've met a few travelers who were like, no, I'm going to buy water bottle. So when
Mm.
I live in this community or in a place with the locals, when everyone drinks water from the tap, and me being the outsider drinking from the bottle, being all cocky and showing off my phone and all that stuff, now how are we being respectful to the community there?
Yeah.
Right.
What am I going to experience coming to a different country if I'm going to live like how I live at home?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that's so true.
So my suggestion is this: when we go into another territory, adapt and learn and understand why people do certain things different. From there, we would be able to learn the culture and the history and where these communities and people come from.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
What about those straws? Do you use any of those? The antibacterial straws or whatever? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, the life straw.
Yeah, yeah,
You,
that's it. Yeah.
I have, I, I have two of it. I've not used it once
Hmm.
because when I left, all these things that I read online, oh my god, you have to get this. It's dangerous. I've drank the water and had diarrhea for 22 weeks, but I've not had diarrhea since day one.
Okay.
I had no
Good to
issues with
know.
the food, no issues with the water. Um, yeah,
That's good.
So you
it's
don't need
it,
that because that's what I was wondering if that'd be something that you could raise money for and then give those out to the people. But obviously, you don't need it.
like, but we can't use it. It's not a permanent solution. Maybe for travelers, while we travel for a while, we can use that. There are villages in Africa which uses live straw, which has been donated by live straw themselves. But the cartridge in there still need to be changed, so that's maintenance to it, which is not sustainable for communities who can't afford that kind of luxury. So
Okay.
for these countries, I'm suggesting water filters. There's this guy, Italian guy I met in Siem Reap in Cambodia. It's a very low budget water filter. It's open source. It's technology from this company from Canada. You only need cement, which available everywhere, or we can use the soil that they used to build the house in Cambodia and Mexico. And inside there is just rocks and sand. The water goes through and comes out clean, like basic water filter. It's easy.
Very
Interesting.
cool.
I like
Hmm.
that.
That's a lot of good tips there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Awesome.
if we can build a small water filter for each house or a massive water filter for the village,
Mm.
now the water from the tap is drinkable.
So do you do that on some of your projects or
I'm going back to Honduras to build the water filters in these villages.
nice?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Very
Okay.
cool.
Final segment that we have is called today's hidden gem. And the hidden gem would be a place that's off the beaten path that many of our listeners may not have heard of that they might want to check out when they're in an area.
Ooh, ooh, very interesting.
I bet you I
Um,
bet you have a lot of these.
yeah, actually yes. But if I'm to point out, Nicaragua is if you check online, the moment we Google traveling to Nicaragua, it's red tape everywhere. Like American government says, don't go. Malaysia follows the circular by the UK government that says not to go because of what happened last year. But it's very safe. But it's very safe in Nicaragua today. And there's this place called Hinotepe and Diriamba, which is about an hour and a half from Granada. I would suggest rather than spending time in Granada, which is very touristic, go to Hinotepe and Diriamba if you want to experience how local people live. Really good food. People are beautiful and accommodating. It's nice. It's super beautiful.
Okay.
And in Mexico, right at the border to Guatemala, there's a place called Simol in Comitan. It's in the small town called Chiapas. It's a small village called Simol. There's a group of There's a friend I lived with him. The family they manages this mountain with three waterfalls. They do waterfall trips, abseiling and trekking and all that. But the main thing they're doing is they do forest preservation. They fix cameras in the jungle to catch illegal hunters and logging. So if you go there and visit them, you'll be able to see this beautiful waterfall. It's available in my Facebook. Enjoy the waterfalls. You can camp there, do some sailing, and buy. There's a lot of local producers there. Like they have local tequilas.
Nice.
You love the and mezcal. The mezcal there is beautiful. Pulque is another drink produced from cactuses as well.
Okay.
Oh, so pulque, mezcal, and I don't even drink tequila. You can find tequila anywhere. Mezcal and pulque.
I was gonna say, is it near Jalisco or no?
No.
Okay,
no.
gotcha.
It's like an hour from Guatemala border.
Gotcha.
Yep. Yep. You want me to keep going? Oh, that too is good.
No, that was good. That was perfect.
That was awesome. Can you spell out the place in Nicaragua?
Yeah.
Jinotepe is Jinotepe.
Okay.
And
Alright.
Diriamba is Diriamba.
Okay. We'll also put this on the show notes for everybody so everybody can find that later if they want.
Okay, everyone in Jinotepe and Diriamba, I made you guys famous.
Now they know.
Right?
That's awesome. Very cool. Well, I think the work that you're doing is wonderful and
Absolutely.
very cool that
Thank-
that's the form of travel that you choose. It's very noble.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You
Very
get
cool.
real travel.
Yeah.
You're not this candy coated travel. You get like the real deal.
Like what's real? Real is what we perceive as real.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
People who go to surf in the beaches of Nicaragua say that's real travel.
Yeah. True.
Right, yeah. Well, and it's cool that there's things that our listeners can go out and do, even if they can't do something as in depth as you. There's ways that they can get involved and try to make a difference in their own way. You know, even if they are going to the beach vacation, what else can they do? You
Yeah,
know,
if you're on the beach vacationing, surfing, spend that half an hour cleaning up the beach, picking up the rubbish. You did
Right.
a great deal.
very good idea. I love it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And if anyone is traveling out, you see my Facebook. If you're near me, if you want to come and join me for a project or program with the communities, please join us. You're welcome. Just send me a message. We'll arrange the logistics and send you the locations and whatnot.
Very
That
cool.
would be great.
Yeah, you want to go, Jason?
Talk about some real travel.
Let's go. Awesome.
Okay, so tell us if people are looking to find more about you, what is your Facebook page? How do they find you?
You can find me in Babel Project, BABEL PROJECT 2019. And my Instagram is my name, VASANLINGAN. My Twitter is the same, Vasan Lingan.
All right. We'll also put that in the show notes, so if everybody wants to go find them, we'll make it nice and easy. And if they want to donate money, they can also do it that way as well.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Beautiful, guys. Thank you very much for having me. You guys are awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Vasan. We'll check in with you later.
Beautiful.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. That was Vasan Lingen, and he is with the Babel Project. And he's a fantastic guy. We really enjoyed talking with him. He's doing fantastic things all over the world. If you have the ability to donate to any of his projects, feel free to do that. I think he would be a wonderful use of your money. Obviously, if you can stretch $300 to last a whole entire month, he's definitely going to be able to do a lot with whatever you're able to give him. And if you want to check him out on his Instagram or his Twitter, it's Vasan Lingen, VASANLINGAN. And that's his Instagram and his Twitter, and his Facebook was Babel Project 2019. And as always, if you think that you might know somebody that might be good for a show, Or if you think you might be good for our show, please reach out to us at nomadictravelerpodcast@gmail.com. We do what we call a meet and greet, and we will call you up and we will ask you a couple of questions and see what your mode of travel is and see if we can't put something together and have you on the show. As always, we'll see you next week.